Alrighty, well, as you can tell, our service is entirely different than what it normally is on a Sunday morning. And if you haven't picked up on that yet, I am concerned about you. But anyway, entirely,
I always look just like this.
always, except on Sunday morning. But every other time I see you, you never know what Michael's going to wear. And you know what's so wonderful is that the last Sunday of the month is traditionally our community Sunday, and it is also a Sunday in which we share a communion, which is what we are going to do today as well. But it is the last Sunday in which we just relax, we're easy with one another, and we just share in a simple and casual joy of being with one another. So today we're going to have 3 parts to our service. And the first part involves a time that includes you. It's a time where we're going to ask you to share some of your favorite Christmas memories or traditions briefly, right? And then, yes, and then the second one is I'm going to share a very special story with you about being the Messiah. And then the last piece is that we will have a communion ceremony. So I think that all of those things are going to be just wonderful.
Oh, they'll be so sweet. I love sharing Christmas memories. Wonderful, wonderful Christmas memories, and we all have the opportunity to do that this morning. You know, one of my favorite Christmas memories is when I was growing up in my parents' home. In the family room in the back corner, there was the TV, and then there was this little bureau, although I didn't know call it a bureau, I didn't know back then. But it had stuff on it, and up there was that velvet kind of painting up there. But at Christmas time, all that was cleared off, and there was this beautiful nativity scene with these little statues that my dad had gotten when he was in Italy. And so I just love that, just love sitting there and looking at the different lights and the figurines and the symbolism of it. And so it works out that I still have that nativity scene now.
You do?
Yeah, and I love setting it up every year and putting little lights on it, and I go out and I get some hay, like at Weston at their Apple Fest, they make little teeny midget bales of hay. I'll get one of those and put them out there and put hay around it, and just love that nativity scene. It's a wonderful, wonderful warm memory for me at Christmas.
Oh, my goodness, that's beautiful. Well, I was just thinking this past week, I was remembering when I was, I think, maybe 4th or 5th grade, and the music teacher put together the Christmas program. And she asked me to be a part of it. And I had, but she didn't ask me to sing. I know. I know. I don't know. I could have taken, I know, how rude, but I could have taken that real personally, but I didn't because she asked me to be an angel. I know. And so there were 3 of us that were up on the stage, and I remember that I was here, and then there was somebody in the middle, and then there was somebody here. And I stood with this long dress on, and I had these big angel wings, and we had to hold hands. And what I realized years later is that there I was in my Asian Native American skin. That's me. And then the person next to me was this girl, and she was Caucasian, and the boy on the end was black. He was African American. And we all were angels. And it dawned on me later that we represented the world. So we didn't need to say anything, and I didn't need to sing. All I had to do was hold hands and stop shaking. But it was a wonderful time. I'll always remember that. Yeah. So I'm wondering what your Christmas memories are and what your Christmas traditions are, because I'm thinking that you've had a few if you've been around for a while, right? Right? And so Michael is going to take some of yours now. All you have to do is raise your hand. There, ooh, look at that, right away. We've got, and so we'll go ahead and start.
Well, I'm Elissa, and I'm going to sneak 2 in. My first one is I am grateful for family being here, because that's our biggest tradition. And what we do when we all get together is we do a Yule cake every year. And we hide like little trinkets within the cake, And then as a family, we sit around the table, and everybody takes turns. Sometimes it's the oldest, sometimes it's the youngest that gets to start. And we're all excited to see what we're going to pull out and what's going to bless us throughout the year, whether it's a crown, a wedding band, a blue jay of happiness. And then we get our little trinket, and then we hold on to it for the year. So that's our tradition.
Wonderful. Okay. And so, Marilyn.
This is kind of funny, but it's one of our traditions. We always went to candlelight service, my daughter and my son, when they were growing up. And I always made meatloaf. And this particular night, I left the stove on. And I came home, and the smoke's billowing out. And, of course, the meatloaf burned, and everybody was very sad. Until we opened the meatloaf. And then from then on, that's the only way I could make meatloaf. True, right, Sarah? Yeah, nobody wanted meatloaf that was cooked the right way after that, so that became our tradition.
Oh my gosh, wonderful.
My name is Corbin, and our tradition is going to our family's house. There's like 50 people at our family's house, and we always play games for like the whole day. And it's
Yay.
really fun.
Yay!
And last night we went roller skating.
I think there's a few more farther back. Oh, yes, Matthew.
My favorite Christmas memory is last year. My parents moved into the house that I lived in my whole life 2 weeks before I was born. And last year was my father's last Christmas in the house because we knew, as kids knew at that time, that we were going to have to put him into assisted living, and we were going to have to sell the house. So I enjoyed that Christmas very much. My father was there. My 3 older sisters were there, and we had a great time. And then my nephew ended up buying the house, so I stayed in the family, and
Nice.
he's fixed it up. And my dad is going to be going over there today to see all the changes that have been made. And unfortunately, I won't be able to make it because I have an appointment early Tuesday morning. So, that's my favorite Christmas memory was last year.
Wonderful, thank you. And I believe there's a Christmas memory happening right now behind you.
Yes. A memory that my husband Larry and I have was 42 years ago when Lisa celebrated her first Christmas with us, and we put a bow on her head. And now we are celebrating with Lisa's daughter and our granddaughter, Sophia Marie, and tomorrow we will place a bow on top of her head.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, let's take one more Christmas memory. Is that Susie back there? There we go, Susie.
Hi, I'm Susie, and I have a beautiful memory of my mom and dad just making the kitchen a mess with gingerbread house filling. And literally every surface would be draped with these makeshift cardboard and foil cookie sheets with lots of peppermint patties and gingerbread, and it was a real, I guess, mess around the house, but it was a real glorious mess.
Oh, wonderful. So many beautiful and good memories. So you know we are always creating the Christmas spirit within us and all around us. And I was just thinking that as we are here today, that our parents and those that went before us, if they are past, were part of our Christmas memories, part of our traditions, and perhaps those traditions and memories continue to live in us. And someday the children that have known us and those that have been around us, we will be a part of their story and the ones they tell in the Christmases far ahead. And so I think it's really valuable, don't you, Michael, to share in those ways and to keep those traditions and memories alive?
I love doing that. I love keeping that going on and on and on. It's a wonderful story about the next generation coming, next child. Story.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, speaking of story, I have a wonderful one for you that I'm going to tell. And so this one is called the UKCN Messiah's Gift. So it comes from the story that Scott Peck told called The Messiah's Gift, but I thought it would be perfect to make it personal to us, don't you think? Yeah. Do all of you think that, or only some of you? Yeah, like right on, Myra, right? Right on, okay. Well, thank you. And so since you insist, let me share this story with you. So sit back and listen to this. It is called The UKCN Messiah is One of Us. Can I hear a hush in the room? Wow, they're a little slow on the uptake today. Does Christmas Eve morning? I don't know. But anyway, thank you. I can always count on Rick for a good response. Right, Rick? All right, so here we go. In a long time ago, but not so far away, there was a friendship between a wise abbot of a monastery and an equally wise rabbi of a synagogue who had a community. Now, these two got together regularly for wine and cheese to talk about the many joys that came from being a spiritual leader in their community. But this time, a long time had passed, more than usual. And so when they met, the abbot's heart was a bit heavy. You see, things had changed. The abbot lamented about how his community's size had dwindled, and he also added that his once joyful and wise monks were now fearful, weak, and a bit grumpy. This situation brought tears to his eyes, and his dear friend, the rabbi, listened closely, and he offered much comfort. But then he said the oddest thing. He whispered, "There's something you need to remember, my brother. It is very well known that the Messiah is among you." "What?" exclaimed the abbot. "What? The Messiah is one of us? I have never, ever heard such a thing. How can this be?" Well, the rabbi insisted that it was true. So the abbot went back to his monastery, praying, a little confused, but honestly, a bit ridiculously hopeful that it was true. He couldn't help himself. Every time he would pass by a monk, he'd wonder, is he the Messiah? And then another one would catch his eye, and he'd wonder all over again, maybe him. Well, he noticed that Monk Steve, who liked to do things right and was always a bit of a stickler about that at times, was a wonderful person, but wasn't he always the first one in line to lend a helping hand? And didn't he make outrageously delicious pies that would take everyone right to nirvana? And then he wondered again. The abbot thought, what about Evan, who was a bit reluctant to pray out loud? Everyone knew this, but they were always grateful for his ability to draw people together with his kind heart and his wisdom. Oh, and then because the abbot had a modern monastery that allowed for women monks, he began to wonder about Jane. Oh my goodness, it was true that she did puff on an occasional cigarette. And she did have a large addiction to Hallmark. But wasn't she one of the most caring people you'd ever meet? And wasn't it true that some of her friends called her Saint Jane? The abbot thought. Well, and here's the other thing, he said. But not only did he begin to wonder about the monks around him, but he wondered, after all, just in case he was the Messiah. I mean, it was possible, wasn't it? But just in case he was the Messiah, the abbot decided that he was going to up his game. He was going to bring his best self to every occasion and to everyone he spoke with. Because after all, you never know. And what if it was him? Well, a very funny thing happened. One of the monks nearby had very large ears, metaphysically speaking, and he once overheard the abbot talking with the rabbi on the phone about this situation. And he heard just enough to realize what was going on. So, you can imagine, as is true with any spiritual community, word got around. Absolutely. And pretty soon, all of the quiet monks were walking around wondering if the monk they were talking to or looking at was indeed the Messiah. And then in the quiet of their own mind and in the stillness of their hearts, they began to wonder, and what if the Messiah was me? Well, each of them began to bring forward their best spiritual behavior, and before you know it, they started attracting people to the monastery. Everyone was drawn by their love and their kindness and all the positivity that they shared with one another. And before long, people were signing up to be monks because they wanted to be just like these people. And before you know it, the monastery began to shine, and it grew and expanded in such a great way. But here's the thing. The message they once heard was still true. The Messiah was one of them. But what was even truer is that the Messiah was each of them. So that is the end of the story, and that is the truth. What if we lived at this time and place in a wonderful knowing that as we look around, and I want you to take a look around and recognize that as you meet eyes with everyone, you are looking into the eyes of the Messiah. That Christ's Spirit, that Christ's nature within each of us is alive and vibrant in all of us. And even though we all have our little quirks and proclivities, we are so much more than that. We are indeed divine in nature. And as the classic unity teacher Donald Curtis said, he said, each of us is a living, vital emanation of spirit. And that each of us has the power to live our highest and our greatest potential. And so today, let's live in the question, what if I am the Messiah? And let us ask, what would I do? What would I be even more fully than ever before to bring forward the living Christ in me? Good questions. Good questions. And so I'd like you to hold that question in your heart now as we prepare for a communion ceremony. And I'm going to call forward Paul and Rick to join Michael and I in this ceremony. And today we will gather in two lines, and we will have cranberry juice that represents the blood of the Christ, which represents the spiritual energy or the life force, the living life of the Christ within us. And we will also share in bread, which symbolizes substance or the form of nourishment that sustains us in the living truth. So today we will receive communion of life and the sustenance of truth as we come forward. And so I ask you to just take a moment in your heart and to see yourself in this most wondrous way, and to know that the living Christ lives within you. And as you come forward with that life force and that energy of the Christ, know that there are things within you that you are called to do and be as the very light and life of the Christ. But you are not alone in that experience. For the presence of God is with you always, and you are open and willing to receive the sustenance, the substance, the nurturance of God that moves you forward, that keeps you going, that sustains you. We begin our communion service now, and I invite you to form two lines and to begin to come forward. I behold the Christ in you. I behold the Christ in you. And Steve, I behold the glorious Christ in you. And my friend, I behold the Christ in you. Yes. I'm going to bring one by Natalie. I behold the Christ in you, Natalie. And we give it to you today. Okay. I behold the Christ in you. Did you get I behold the Christ in you. So now we hold this sacred experience of knowing the truth of who and what we are. And we hold it in our hearts and in our minds. And we see ourselves going forward in this sacred way, remembering the truth that no matter what, the divine lives within us. And we behold the Christ in ourselves and one another. And we see ourselves sustained by the power and presence of God's truth now and always. Amen. Okay. You're doing the love offering? Yes.
Christmas is such a wonderful, wonderful time of year where we get to share the love and to demonstrate our caring for one another. And in doing so, we participate in the ever-flowing, ongoing circulation of love, caring, prosperity, of peace. So at this time, I invite you to take out your gifts, your love offerings, hold them in your hand, breathe deeply. Remember that these symbolize love and energy moving in and through you as we say together our offertory blessing. Divine love
Love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. So it is it. Steve?
Okay, away in a manger, and here comes Santa Claus. Go ahead and join.
Oh. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. Is he still at it? He can't help himself. Look down where he lay, but little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. The